It's been 1 week since Rob Reiner and his wife, Michele Reiner, were found dead, and their son, Nick Reiner, is accused of murdering them inside their Brentwood home.
He's on suicide watch tonight after making his first court appearance last week. But tonight, a new bombshell report. It claims the LAPD searched his hotel room without a warrant. TMZ reports that around 1 a.m. Monday, a detective showed up to the hotel under the guise of a welfare check, then told the clerk Reiner may have disposed of a weapon and used the room to clean up evidence of a crime. The report says Reiner's defense team is well aware of this allegation.
Joining us now in studio is criminal defense attorney Benjamin Taylor. So first of all, when this news broke, it was just so shocking. Reiner has been with many of us for a long time, all the way from All in the Family back in the day to Spinal Tap 2 just recently. And then quite quickly after the news broke, his son was arrested. It seemed like a very straightforward case, but what is your reaction to finding out that LAPD went into that hotel room without a search warrant?
I'm very surprised that they went into the room without a search warrant, because most detectives and police agencies know if you're looking for evidence, a weapon, blood, whatever it is, they usually get a search warrant, even if it may take an hour, 2 hours, because you don't want this evidence to be thrown out in court, because ultimately a defense attorney is going to file a motion to say this evidence was taken without a warrant and it should be thrown out in court. So
what does that mean? Could it be thrown out?
Yeah, I mean, most definitely. I mean, when you have without a warrant, any search by the police of evidence, they go into your home, they go into a hotel and grab evidence without a warrant. Any defense attorney who's smart would file a motion to the judge and say, Judge, I want this evidence thrown out.
That's the whole case at this point, as far as we know.
Well, a lot of it, right?
Yeah, right now that's the whole case. I'm sure they're going to go to Rob Reiner's, home to see if there's any video surveillance evidence inside or outside the home, if Nick was leaving the home. But right now, if this is the main piece of evidence, I mean, this is going to be very key. Blood, any weapons. So if that gets thrown out, it might be hard to prosecute them in the future if that's the only evidence they have.
That was a big mistake.
I think that's a huge mistake. I mean, I have no idea why any law-abiding detective would go inside a hotel room looking for key pieces of evidence in a big high-profile case like this without obtaining a warrant. I don't care if it takes an hour, 2, 3 hours, right? You need to get that warrant to make sure that the evidence is preserved and not thrown out in court.
It may be a simple question, but how does that process actually work? Is there just a guy ready with a warrant at all crime scenes, or do they have to call this office, call that office, and can it slip through the cracks, or is this unheard of?
No, usually the detective would, there's a judge usually sitting all the time on duty, and they would request it based upon the evidence they have, saying, we believe that there's evidence in this hotel room that would prove the guilt of Nick Reiner. It would help the case. So they would write a warrant to the judge. The judge would look at it. The judge believes that there's enough evidence to go into the hotel room. The judge would sign off on it, and gives the permission of the law enforcement to go inside the hotel room.
Tricky, though, on a welfare check thing, though, right? If they were, in fact, looking for a welfare check, you want to get in there fast, but then wait, now it's become something more, oops, got to back out and get that search warrant. How does that play out?
And that's the thing. A welfare check is something when your family member might be sick, and you're concerned about a family member. Somebody calls up and says, is this person, sick? Can you go there, police, and check on them? This wasn't a welfare check. This was a crime investigation. So if it was truly a welfare check, then the evidence might be preserved. But because this is a crime investigation, the law enforcement should have definitely waited and got a valid warrant before they entered into the hotel room.
Big mistake for LAPD. So Nick has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, but he is waiving his right to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. What does that mean?
I mean, basically, he has a right to stand trial. So anybody who's accused of a crime, you're innocent till proven, otherwise in our country. So he'll have a chance to go to trial. He might be able to chance to plead guilty if he believes that he's guilty in the future. I mean, more evidence will come out in the future, but right now, as we stand, he's going to face trial.
What are your thoughts on celebrity lawyers like, was it Alan Jackson? How do these guys so piped into every tentacle of the country with people who can afford them. And what does that tell you about where we might be heading?
I mean, this is a high-profile case, and you have a high-profile attorney who's assigned to this case. So whenever you have that, it might be a long trial. So there's going to be a lot of motions. They're going to definitely earn their money. And this person's not on this case just to stand around and twiddle their fingers. They're going to look into every piece of evidence, like this warrant, to see whether or not there should have been a warrant here and should have been, any evidence that should be precluded.
But in theory, Nick maybe doesn't have the money. So is it just worth the publicity, or is there just money there somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, there could be money there somewhere. I mean, in a trust fund, who knows where the money's coming from? Sometimes people take these cases just to say, hey, I'm taking a high-profile case pro bono, I mean, for free. Just to say, hey, I want to be out there to say, hey, I'm the one who's taking this high-profile case, and look at me. So some attorneys do that.
Are you at all interested in what his defense will look like? Nick Reiner, I mean, I think he's been in and out of rehab something like 16 times, dealing with mental illness, possibly schizophrenia. Are you at all curious at how he will defend himself, or
I think
strategy?
I think in this type of case, you're going to defend yourself by saying maybe your client was insane. If there's enough evidence to say he didn't do it, then you would go that route, saying he didn't do it. But if there's camera evidence and video evidence at the house that said he actually did do it, the only major defense you can really say is he was maybe guilty, but he was insane. What that means, if you're insane and found by the judge to be insane, that means you might go to a mental health hospital, get rehabilitated, and then be out free in the future.
Yeah, because he is facing life in prison.